Ikigai, I think in Japanese has many meanings, and I try to think that like deeper level of, Ikigai. And the moment that I feel the joy for myself is that when I see someone maximizing their potential, it could be
Mm.
someone or the property or the area. I don't mean not only about the property. I think the same for example, my children and also my team member as well. And when I see those potential that has not been maximized, then I feel really, really frustrated. I think it's too much, yeah, for someone else to think like that for someone. But I honestly like feel frustrated about it, and for myself too. And for this Planet Zao case, I see many cases that it's not maximizing the potential. It's because they're closed and they don't really see the opportunity that's been outside of the area or outside of the community. So as I said, the ikigai or kokorozashi for the Planet Zao itself is to unlock the potential, and that comply with my ikigai as well.
Find your Ikigai at ikigaitribe.com. My guest today on episode 93 of the Ikigai podcast is Tamaki Nishimura, founder and CEO of Planet Labs, an organization that specializes in transforming iconic properties across Japan into unique vacation rentals with a focus on cultural preservation and fostering partnerships with local communities. It's a pleasure to have you on, Tamaki.
Thank you. Thank you for the perfect introduction.
It's good to see you again. Of course, we met in person last month. You treated me to lunch. So that was, really special to meet you. And we have our introduction to thank Steve Bouchamp, a friend of mine, also a podcast guest, who told me all about Planet Dao. So we have two names here, but first, would you like to give us a bit of background about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Tamaki. I was born and raised in Osaka/Kyoto, but I'm currently living in Kanagawa Prefecture, which is our next prefecture to Tokyo, because I have two kids. So I decided not to live in the city center. We love go camping, and also we live in kind of like nature, space. So throughout my career, I was in startup companies. So first business that we were working on was building the tourism platform, just like, Airbnb experience we have for global. But we were building the Japanese version of Airbnb with the entity Docomo. That's one of the biggest telecom company in Japan. Yeah. But COVID hit, so we had to close the business. The business was like focusing on the local experience to offer to especially international traveler. But during the downtime, I had to kind of shift my, interest to other spaces, and crypto was pretty big in Japan, NFT and Bitcoin and all. But I wasn't too excited about like Bitcoin price, like going up and down and stuff. I was more excited about the concept of DAO. So connecting individuals to work for the same goal together. So I was keen to connect the concept of DAO and what I was doing. And the Planet DAO is the next business that I came up with. Yeah. So it's been half a year since I launched. By counting the time that we were like building before the launch, it's been a year. Yeah.
Wow. So that's steady progress. When I found out about your website and what you're doing. So yeah, let's focus on the name a bit more. So there's two names. I think is it like parent company's Planet Labs, but Planet DAO is the brand.
Right.
So,
you're right.
Yeah, would you like to touch on why you chose Planet DAO?
Right. So for the product wise, as Nick explained in the first introduction, we specialize into transforming the properties in Japan, especially the temples or those properties that individual cannot buy because, for example, the property comes with a big forest and that comes with the farmland. So individuals has to, how do we say, like need the financial, support to transform the use land into something. Or for example, the temple, just one individual or one corporate cannot own it because the local
Mhm.
community has so much, affection for the property. So they cannot just, give up on the ownership of it. So those properties are kind of properties that we're taking care of. So reason why I name it planet is that the planet Earth is like no one owns it, right? So
Mm.
and those properties that we're touching is that kind of properties that one individual or corporate just own it. So I name planet because it's going to be the transforming the norm and concept of the ownership into something new. So we will have multiple individuals to own the land or the property. And it's not going to be just one ownership owned by that community only, but also we have the community with investor slash local community slash, like town and cities. So that's why I named the planet like that. And I put Dao. A lot of people ask me what Dao means. And is that the word come from like Chinese or something like that? And I'm like, no,
Right,
no,
right.
it's not. So DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So these terms originally come from crypto blockchain project mainly. And our idea is to connect, global community utilizing the crypto token. That was our first intention, but we decided not to for now because not a lot of people are pretty like used to, like using the crypto wallet and stuff. So we decided not to. And also the law in Japan with the crypto has been pretty strict right now. So right now we are not using crypto token and anything, but for the future, since we have a lot of people internationally, the currency transaction has been a problem, a big issue for us. So utilizing the crypto, it's going to be some solution that will enhance our, like a project. So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and I think we should point out that you're saving these iconic properties or these properties that have this immense value in terms of historic value, cultural value, and they're very much tied to, I guess, the local population. They're often in remote areas or in towns that are at risk of dying. So what you're doing is really inspiring. I think it's really important, and you're giving, as you said, you're giving people, basically it sounds like you're really giving people outside of Japan an opportunity
Mm,
to invest and kind of be a part owner, not really a part owner, but someone who contribute to the longevity of these properties and
mm-hmm,
save them, which is, really inspiring. But at the same time, I think this is, really challenging, and we'll talk about the challenges you've gone through. So
mm-hmm.
you come across as someone who's, very entrepreneurial, ambitious, and you're still quite young, and you've got two kids. So I kind of think, wow, what was I doing in my early or mid 20s? Nothing like what you're doing. So it's kind of amazing. But how did this particular project come about, and what was the reason or the inspiration for you to start Planet Dow?
Sure. So that comes from my passion in the first place because at my previous project, what I was doing was basically, like showing international tourists not only the face of Japan. I was like showing more deeper side of Japan by connecting those local artisans or local people with the international tourists. And I just loved the moment that people kind of like falling in love in Japan.
Mm.
So by connecting those local artisans to international tourists, they always give them the new perspective of seeing things. So what they I mean is that local artisans are doing for everyday thing that's been new to them, new to the international tourists. So they're like, wow, like what you're doing is so great, and things will actually give the energy and inspiration for the local artisans. So they kind of gain like their confidence and all. So I just love to see the moment.
Yeah, I can relate to that. As you know, I had a retreat, my
Mm,
first retreat this year, and it was similar to what you're saying, this focus on exposing foreigners to, unique craftspersonship
mm-hmm,
or unique places
mm-hmm,
away from all the tourist sites. And we looked at something that was really interesting was aizome, so indigo dyeing.
mm-hmm,
And we found someone in Gujo Hachiman who was like 16th generation of this
mm,
a
mm,
400-year-old business, and still doing the indigo dyeing and making products, but also holding workshops. And yeah, it was really special to kind of have a taste of this
Mm.
tradition and see how everyone responded to it. And yeah, this owner and this craftsman has no direct heir. He has no children.
Oh,
And so he's going to, I think one of his nephews or nieces will take over the business.
oh, I
And
see.
yeah, it was a major concern. Like this business that's been around for 400 years was at risk of, yeah, sort of dying. So
Right.
I think that's a really, really cool idea to try and expose foreigners to these
Mm.
unknown or unique aspects of culture
Right, right.
that are at risk of dying because the way Japan is, I guess, with most young people moving to cities, Japan's losing a lot. So it's really,
Uh,
yeah, really special, I think, what you're doing.
mm. Especially those like Japanese young people think like what they're doing is not really cool, you know. So it's really mottainai. I don't know how to say it in English, but I
Uh,
feel it's mottainai. Mm.
yeah, it's a tragic loss of opportunity.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right, yeah,
yeah.
right. Lots of opportunity. I feel that too. Mm.
And so I'm trying to work out, have you always had this in you, this desire to preserve Japanese culture, or did you have some personal experience that made you think, oh wow, my culture is beautiful, it is unique,
Mm.
and I should do something to save it?
Right. That comes from all my experience from like when I was running a business of the creating the local experiences. I used to work with the geishas too. Their business has been pretty downside too because their main is to serve sake and go to the banquet party that the Japanese salaryman does. But it's been pretty downside, especially after the COVID hit, right? So we were creating the event show with them to show, especially for the international traveler and all. So I knew all the culture part of Japan from the experiences. And I realized that, a lot of like, especially young generation wants to go to Tokyo or city area for looking for some opportunity, especially for like technology side of it. But I realized that the Japan is not going to be economically like highly growing, like as much as like it does in the States or in China or any other countries that is hitting the economical growth. So what Japan holds is something that money cannot buy, I think. And reason why so many international travelers are coming to Japan is that they want to see the culture and history and nature, or maybe infrastructure. Like we have really good train system and all. That's what they're coming to Japan for. But
Yeah.
we are not actively preserving those part of Japan because it's really hard to see the financial value, of the culture or history. So I'm really have feel kind of a responsibility to preserve those bit of Japan for the future. Because without taking any action for that, then we will be, actively losing those culture and history. So yeah, that's my interest in also connected to ikigai, I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ikigai, and it does surprise me that because I mean, there's so much tourism in Japan. Even maybe we're hearing a lot about over tourism, obviously
Mm.
to all the famous tourist spots, and yeah, it surprises me that government or local government is so out of touch of what a good chunk of what foreigners want to experience is this tradition, is this culture, is this history they can't experience really anywhere else.
Mm. Right.
And we hear these terrible stories of local councils concreting coastline or
Right.
making all these weird buildings and not realizing, oh, it's the temples or it's the
Mm.
shrines or it's these historic buildings that people would love to visit or stay in.
Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah, you're providing that opportunity and you've started, I mean, this is early days for you
It is, yeah.
and it's highly ambitious. So what is the vision or the kokorozashi of Planet Tao? Because I think, wow, this could be endless because there's literally thousands of properties to
Right.
save.
Right. I'll say to unlock the hidden potential that the real estate or the community has, and always the power of collective purpose that we bring from the overseas, especially because we are not going to be playing the main role in the local area or the properties. So property or the local community comes first. In the case of like Wakayama, the first project we did, because we had the local community actively involved in and also connecting us to the local people, and they were wishing to like for this project to be successful. That's why we succeeded funding the project and moving to the renovation. So the local, like having the local people playing the main role for each project is very crucial for us. That's how I see. So what we can do is just to unlock the potential itself. Yeah, that's how I see.
Yeah, so this is quite challenging. You're
It is.
trying to save a property. You work with locals, so you're very respectful to their needs. And then you renovate these properties, but you maintain their historical value. So you're not really changing the structure, you're just sort of reforming so that people can then stay there. So, yeah, many moving parts and, several stakeholders. So, how has the journey been so far?
So at first, we launched our first project in this year, May, and we actually spent almost a year to structure like a law-related structure and business model itself that comply with the current Japanese law, and that was a quite tough journey because our product include the real estate law and also security law in Japan. As I said, that has been pretty like strict in Japan, but we got a good luck actually to find right lawyer that knows about all the real estate law and also the crypto and security law in Japan. And he was not too like conservative, so he could give us like good idea that comply with like what we want to do and also the current law. So that was really important to have the right lawyer for us. And another concern for us was our vision is here, but would there be enough like potential investor slash our like potential owner that will resonate with our vision? That was very, very the concern. But luckily, after we launched it, we had so many people, enough investor to reach our goal of the fundraising. So yeah, we had I think
Yeah.
like two luck that brought our project to be successful. And surprisingly, 80% of our investor come from outside of Japan. That was pretty unexpected for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it gives you a clear indication of how much foreigners, love this special aspect of Japan, this
Right.
this culture, and what they can experience or gain by going there. So I guess they're invested, financially, but they're also invested, personally. Like, oh, this is
Right.
something
Right.
worthwhile protecting. And yeah, when I heard about it and I saw the first property you were saving, I was like, oh wow, this is this is amazing. So yeah, I guess I purchased one share to
Thank
offer
you.
my support.
Thank you
But
so
so
much.
I'm really
Mhm.
interested in your future
Mm.
properties.
Mm.
Touched on your properties, but yeah, it seems you're investing so much to get this up and running.
Mm.
So imagine it's quite stressful, and you have to get all this legal advice, and you're dealing with money and international transfers, and you have this goal now to then renovate these properties. So yeah, really ambitious, but it also sounds like you are being supported. So how does that feel to have people locally in Japan say, yes, we want you to save this property, and then you have people within Japan helping you, and then you have these investors outside of Japan? It must be very gratifying for people to support your vision.
Right, right. I'm just feeling so grateful. And this project is not just about money. So a lot of investors mention about our project as like creative investments. So they're looking for more returns, like beyond the financial returns. For example, they can get into the activity of like renovating the temple or creating the stone made stairs with the locals. And they're like keen to have many updates with pictures from us. So because our project is not relying on something financial only, there are many people who are willing to support us, not in the financial way too. Actually, the lawyer that we work with is he offered us the pro bono work for us too, because there was too many things that we need to consult with, and the fee is going to be too much for the startup. So he offers some pro bono, volunteer work for us. So yeah, it's because the color of the project, I think, that we are working on.
Yes, and I know you and your team, especially Monica, who I'll probably be interviewing as well. You spend a lot of time communicating with your investors. You have almost, I think, weekly meetings to update everyone. So there is this strong sense of community too behind what you're doing, and you get people to, even your investors, to volunteer,
Right.
and they have some input. So it's a really special project and vision. So let's talk about the first historic property you have saved.
Sure. So the first project is in Nachi area. Not many people are aware of this place, but this place has been having many international traveler coming in as well, since it has the World Heritage called Kumano-Kodo, one of the pilgrimage routes in Japan. And interesting thing about this pilgrimage route is that the route itself is connecting three religions in the area. One is Buddhism, and one is Shintoism, and also Kumano local religion. So, which is, I don't think any other place in the world has some place like that to connect, three different religions. And Ryogonji Temple is the one of the temple that we launched with our first project. This has been selected as one of the tangible cultural heritage in Japan 4 or 5 years ago. But since there were only 4 supporters, we call them danka, who donate money to the temple. And that's how the temple used to sustain back in the days. But now there are not many people who can make donation. And also the role of the temple has been changed in the community. So there are only 4. And they all are in 80 and 90s. So in 10 or 20 years later, then there will be no one who can, donate or, take care of the temple. So they're looking for some financial support and also someone or some business model that can sustain the temple itself. So we were introduced those local community to us by one of the chief priest monk who takes care of the temples in the region. And that's how we got connected and we kicked off our project. Yeah. And there are so many temples like that in Japan. I heard like 1/3 of the temple, which is 70,000 temple in Japan, are abandoned and in the same situation like Ryogonji Temple.
Yeah, it's astounding. I remember, I think maybe some of our audience might have heard the term akiya, like abandoned house or empty house. But now there's akidera, like empty temple or abandoned temple. So I guess one of the other beautiful aspects of this is you're also maintaining a role for the priest of these temples, and they have a place to, practice their religion and influence others and maintain their religion. And I know you have a priest you're working with. So, yeah, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So he's really a young chief priest monk. His name is Nishiyama-san, and he used to be an English teacher in Tokyo for 1 to 2 years, and he's a DJ as well. And he has really interesting faces. But he's now back in Nachi area because he comes from the Buddhist family, and he was the only child, I think, who can inherit his temple. And he turned actually the temple into his the vacation rental as well, like for his own temple. And he's building a sauna within the temple for the new way of meditation, like combined with the Zen practice. And because he has been doing pretty interesting things, a lot of priests around him start relying on him that can you take care of our temple and all. And now he's taking care of more than 6 temples. And it's going to be 10 or 20 temples in the future. So reason why he's working with us is that just one person cannot like do all like himself is one. And also looking for people who can inherit the temple, it's going to be a big problem in Japan as well. So he wants to make the job as like interesting as like working in other industry. So that's his approach. So by working with us, he could make that aspect, enhance the aspect of like working as a priest. It's going to be, interesting job to do. Yeah.
Or maybe that's what it takes. You need a fresh approach, a modern approach,
Yeah.
and like he's had some life experience teaching English and being a DJ,
DJ.
and maybe that also would appeal to foreigners. Something fresh and unique, as well as combining, tradition and ancient wisdom. So yeah, it's amazing how you've got all these different people involved: the priests, the
Right, right,
locals, investors, and your own team.
right.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, pretty amazing. So for the people who rent the property in the
Mm-hmm.
future, what could they do in the local area? So maybe in a year or a year and a half from now, maybe one of our listeners would like to go and support what you do.
Oh.
So yeah, hopefully I'll definitely want to visit.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is it Irokawa? Yeah,
Hirokawa. Yeah.
yeah.
The name itself doesn't really actually exist in the map because it got disappeared merged with other town. But local still has the identity to call themselves as Irokawa. So it means it has a really strong connection and identity in the area. But it doesn't mean that they're pretty exclusive to like people coming from outside of the city. Actually, more than half of the people who live in Irokawa are coming from outside, like those people who relocated from the town city. So they're pretty open to like anyone. Yeah. And their specialty is something special about them is they are really independent living style. For example,
Mm-hmm.
each of the household has their own farm and rice field. And also they source their daily water from the river. So they have the system like where they clean up like every day. They take turn to clean the, water utility every day. And so it's pretty
Oh
interesting.
wow.
Yeah. So we are thinking to offer the farm to table kind of dinner that visitor can go to their farm and pick up some, fresh vegetable to make it for the dinner salad. And they can take the fresh like egg from the chicken house and use it for the dinner. And that's one of the experience that we are talking with the local. Another experience will be we have the English speaking chief priest monk, so we can offer the Zen experience in the morning. And Ryogonji has the stunning view. It's on the hilltop, and there's a stone wall that you can actually sit on, and you can see the whole village from that stone. So, doing the Zen meditation on the stone will be one experience. And this experience is something that we did when we went to the Daitaiji. Daitaiji is other temple that the chief priest monk is doing the vacation rental. He made the morning porridge, and we ate it in the Zen, monk way. So he taught me like how to eat it in a training way, and he taught me some, teaching, So they are some of the experiences that we are thinking of. Yeah. But staying in that area itself is going to be like enough experience, and
Yeah, yeah.
we can connect with like people who live there as well.
Yeah, I think just the benefit of going somewhere so remote and so surrounded by nature, and just that alone would be very powerful.
It is,
But
yeah. It is.
also contributing and sustaining a community.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe having time for meditation and reflection. And yeah, it all sounds really inspiring. So another moving part of all of this is once the property is available for rental, who will manage it once it's ready?
Sure. So there's a company. We have the candidate companies that our owners can make a vote for. One of the top candidate is called Sharing. They run a project called Otera Stay. Stay meaning simply temple staying in
Yep.
English. So they operate a lodging service in a temple more than 11 or 12 in Japan at this point of time. Yeah. And they're the one who connected us with Chief Priest Monk Nishiyama-san, and that's how we got connected with the Ryogonji Temple. So they have successful cases in other temples, so that we are thinking them as a top candidate. Yeah.
Awesome. And they have experience, and so very likely they can find or connect you to people who want to have this, I guess, a temple stay.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you are definitely dealing with so many moving parts. So this kind of makes me, it kind of does make me think of Ikigai, because, as you know, Ikigai doesn't just mean, being happy. Ikigai involves something you care about or pursuing something meaningful to you. But this also sounds like a kokorozashi, because it's really, really ambitious. So yeah, this business, is it both your Ikigai and your kokorozashi? Yeah.
I see. It is. Yeah, it is. Because if it's not, it doesn't comply with ikigai or kokorozashi, then I wouldn't have done that, I think, because as you said, there's so many moving parts. And when I talk to the investor, like, all work come from my heart, and that has to come from my heart, because as I said, that it's not about numbers, just the numbers, and ROI that we project is not too high, like compared to other countries. Like if they just leave their money in the bank, the interest rate in Japan is pretty low, so the ROI we project is pretty high in Japan. But for example, the countries in Hong Kong, the interest rate is pretty high, so ROI doesn't really convince the investor. The only reason, it's not going to be the only reason for the investor to buy. So those emotional part, the conviction part, it is the plays a main role, and that has to come from my heart. Yeah. And I come from the warehouse running family. So my dad owns a company that runs the warehouse, and he is actually looking for someone to inherit the business. And there are so many people who are looking for someone to inherit the business, especially in a local area of Japan. I come from Osaka, but there's so many business owner looking for people who can inherit it. So this is not just the problem with Akiya or Akidera or, like local area of Japan, but also this is going to be the problem in many industry of Japan. And how I see this project is, we are not only saving those properties, but more of like creating a system where the individual can gather those individual, doesn't matter where they come from, as long as they have kokorozashi for the property or the local, they can contribute. So I think that comply with my own personal problem that comes from my family as well. So yeah.
Yeah, even my in-laws, so they make, my father-in-law and my brother-in-law make shinoyaki pottery.
Okay.
And
Wow.
yeah, and they're fourth generation. And it's very likely that my brother-in-law's children won't pursue pottery, which is fair enough. But yeah, it is quite sad to think there's a good chance they won't pass on this knowledge and tradition of pottery making, this specific type of pottery making, to someone. And yeah, it will eventually end. So yeah, Japan has this tragic problem, I guess, of losing its culture, losing crafts, personship, or just properties or businesses, because I guess capitalism came in and stole everyone. It said, oh, it's more important to make money and live in cities and be rich. And
Right.
and now I guess we're seeing the result of that, of,
I
one or
think
two
so.
generations of doing that.
I think so. And some people said, like, like there are many like M&A companies that can save your business, but it's not about it, like those local that we talk to, especially from the Ryogonji Temple project, is more of like, they're not just looking for people who can inherit it, more of like if they can like trust the person, or, that comes from the emotional part of it, not the monetary part only. So that has been a problem. And the same situation is for my family too. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's almost this strong emotional component, almost like a spiritual component. Like you really have to care about maintaining. Why do you want to maintain this building or property or business? Because it is, it's important. It has value and it goes beyond money and just opportunity. There's this intrinsic value and it kind of connects to one's spirit. Yeah. So let's talk about the next property and maybe we can
Okay.
find you some investors. So this is a property our listeners could invest in. So let's touch on that property.
Sure. So next property is not a temple, but it's an interesting property that comes with the 7,000 square meter forest land. And we call it the Bamboo Forest House, and it's located in Hayama. So for those who don't know about Hayama, it's considered as one of the top summer vacation, like villa, resort place that is popular for Japanese people, especially. But the interesting thing is that this Hayama area is recognized as the imperial villa place since the imperial family has one villa in the location. And one of the beach, it's called Ishiki Beach, is recognized as one of the top beach, like worldwide.
Oh, really?
As well. So it has a beautiful nature and also with the mountain and beautiful ocean. And it's pretty accessible from Tokyo too. Just 1 hour train ride. Yeah. There's a straight train from the Tokyo station to Zushi station, and you can explore the area from the station. Yeah. The Bamboo Forest House, since it has the 7,000 square meter forest land, there's so much space that we can play with. We're thinking to have the open air bath and also the sauna and also yoga deck because this house itself is so separated from the main road of the area. You need to actually hike in the mountain road for about 3 to 4 minutes. So once you're into the space, you won't hear any like city noise or you don't really, you're all like separated from the city area. So it's interesting. Yeah. Not like temple, but because of that, we have so much space that we can play with, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds exciting. You have this opportunity to get creative and it kind of ties into, I guess it ties into wellness, tourism as well. And this year I attended the Wellness Tourism Expo in Tokyo.
Okay.
And it looks like it's a huge area of growth. And, there's glamping and all these kind of high end opportunities or staying at a ryokan. So what you're offering is quite unique. Getting away from it all and being in nature and, again, saving a property. So that must be fun to plan these properties and think, what are we going to do with this property and have an outside hot spring bath or a yoga deck or a sauna. So you must enjoy that aspect of the business very much.
It is, it is very interesting. Yeah, to work with a local constructor, they give us many interesting, ideas to throw. Then also we listen to our owners as well, and we sometimes bring the potential investor to the place, and they of course give us like many, interesting thought. And one of them was actually a tattoo artist. She used to be a tattoo artist, and she gave us an idea of what about like how do we say like craving the bamboo with the Zen ward. So while we have the, open air bath and yoga deck, maybe like looking at the bamboo and it has that Zen, like teaching word and all could be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with bamboo. It's so versatile. So using it as almost like a scroll or a teaching tool, that's a cool idea. Yeah. Okay, so Tamaki, how can people support your cause? Because if they want to, they could invest in the Bamboo Forest House or other future properties.
Sure. So biggest support will be investing in us because we're very early stage for our project as a whole, a planet as a whole. So it's been pretty difficult to reach out to those people who are actually interested in us. since we are based in Japan. So Nick, thank you so much for this opportunity too. You're, I think, helping us a lot to reach out to those who could be interested in Planet Zao. And also gaining that trust, it's going to be pretty hard for us too, because since we're, as I said, like based in Japan, it's pretty hard for people to know that like if we're legit company or not. And yeah, we have installed some tools like for our website. It's called like Trustpilot, and people are, like start writing the review for us. So getting our credibility by posting about us and giving some review for us, it's going to be a big help as well. Yeah, and we appreciate any feedbacks. If you have any feedbacks, then please send us any messages or inquiry. I check all the messages. Yeah, we have. So
yeah, that really surprised me that you told me in a conversation that some people thought it was a scam. I'm like, it's too good to be true, and I was really shocked because I just thought, well, that's
yeah.
I
Even if
didn't think that.
I actually have the me myself like talking about the project on my website, and I do the one-on-one call with those people who are interested in having a call with us. Some people call that like the video itself is AI generated, and having a call with the founder is like sounds like a scam,
Yeah.
even though they don't they don't book it. They call it so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange. I mean, maybe because that's rare. Because you probably would think, oh, the founder would be, too busy to talk to me. So, but to think it's AI generated, you're definitely not AI generated. I've met you in person, and
They can
I
hear
know.
my Japanese accent and my English. I would have done better if it's like AI generated.
No, so real person, real business, and a business or a project definitely worth supporting. And yeah, again, I'm just amazed. Like, this is so ambitious and so challenging, so very inspiring. So it's a real joy to have you on the podcast. And we'll have Monica, your community manager, as well. And yeah, I'd love to support every property you do. So maybe we'll have you on often. So let's end with ikigai. So I think obviously saving these culturally important and historical properties is tied to your ikigai. Do you want to go deeper into that?
Sure. So ikigai, I think in Japanese has many meanings, and I try to think that like deeper level of ikigai. And the moment that I feel the joy for myself is that when I see someone maximizing their potential, it could be
Mm.
someone or the property or the area. I don't mean not only about the property. I think the same for example, my children and also my team member as well. And when I see those potential that has not been maximized, then I feel really, really frustrated. I think it's too much, yeah, for someone else to think like that for someone. But I honestly like feel frustrated about it, yeah, and for myself too. And for this Planet Zao case, I see many cases that it's not maximizing the potential. It's because they're closed and they don't really see the opportunity that's been outside of the area or outside of the community. So as I said, the ikigai or kokorozashi for the Planet Zao itself is to unlock the potential, and that comply with my ikigai as well. So there's a huge fans, Japan abroad, and we are connecting the opportunity with the local community or the property that has so much potential in it. So
Yeah, no, it's really inspiring. And yeah, I guess if we open our eyes, we can see all this opportunity. And then I guess you got to, believe in yourself that you can do something about it. So
yeah.
that's pretty cool. So moving away from this very ambitious project, what about your other ikigai? Your personal or your private ikigai?
Private ikigai ka.
Mm.
I'm not really like able to do it like recently since I have like 1 and 3 years old like kids running around me, and I don't really have the private time myself. But I like to do the explore my like spiritual journey kind of thing. Yeah, I like to have like my personal time for like just meditating, and I used to do the sorry, I forgot the word. Not eating, like not eating and drinking for a while.
Oh, fasting?
Yeah, fasting. Yeah, fasting helped me a lot to think deeply and all. So I like to practice all like spiritual journey kind of things. But for the past like 2 to 3 years, I was not like able to do it, and I want to do more. But yeah, that's my other like ikigai to do. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you certainly have your hands full with your children and this project. But yeah, maybe you need that spiritual journey to
Yeah.
balance yourself.
Yeah, I think so.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, ambition's like a double-edged sword. It's really inspiring, gives you motivation, but if you're not careful, you can get burnout and sick.
For sure. Yeah.
So how can people find you? Where's the best place to support what you're doing?
Sure. So maybe follow me on LinkedIn is one of the tool, and also Substack. I'm not really active as much as I want to do, but I will constantly write about the project and also myself. Yeah, on Substack for the long kind of like a long post. I recently deleted my X and Instagram, so
Oh, really? Okay.
LinkedIn and Substack could be one.
And what about the Planet Dow website?
Sure. So you can sign up for our newsletter. We have the newsletter subscribing button on the website, so you can sign up for that.
Awesome. So I'll include all those links in the show notes.
Thank you.
And maybe we can also add some photos of the properties to the webpage as well to promote what you're doing. So, yeah, really inspiring what you're doing. It was great to meet you last month, and I look forward to the new properties you bring to life
Yes.
in future. Thank you, Tamaki, for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Nick.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye. ありがとうございます。
This episode was brought to you by the Find Your Ikigai course. Developed in consultation with Japan's leading Ikigai researchers, the Find Your Ikigai course is the only culturally accurate and evidence-based practical guide to the Ikigai concept. To learn more about the Find Your Ikigai course, please visit ikigaitribe.com.